Well, in the fact that we have more units coming to market, we're supposed to be building 300,000 new units since 2002.
We need 500,000.
And we're now at 500,000 to keep up with the
We
backlog.
need 500,000.
So what, in your opinion, is the solution, could be the solution, if it's...
Well, it's not Labour.
Well...
It's not Labour, is it? I mean, Labour think naively they're going to build 1 million... They reckon they're going to build 1 million homes in the 5 years, extra in the 5 years that they're going to, hopefully, they hope to be in government. Now, unless they radically change the planning system in the UK, that ain't going to happen anytime soon, because no one wants a new estate in their back garden unless they own the land.
These are NIMBYs.
Unless you can CPO the land, which is what they did in the 1960s, of course, with Milton Keynes and places like that. They CPO'd it, compulsory purchased it off farmers. Now, if you can do that at agricultural value, then you've got a chance to do something. But when he says, Starmer says he's going to build 1 million more houses, he's not talking about houses that you live in. He's talking about social housing.
Right.
Because he doesn't believe anyone should own more than one house, remember. Socialist. So he's not talking about, you know, the private market. The private market is going to be stung. Do you remember when they brought in social housing for one in three houses built had to be social housing? That was done about 10 years, 12 years ago.
Well, S106 is about 20. S106 is like 20%, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Like,
so
they, 1 in 5.
So it went to 1 in 3.
Right.
It's now 1 in 10, unless depending on the square footage or square meterage, isn't it? But it went to 1 in 3, and 1 or 2 developers went to court and got it changed again, and now that's why it's and then Conservatives got in anyway. But I mean, that's what Labour were trying to do. 1 in 3. So
yeah, that's nuts. Apparently, I've heard that they're trying to do the in the autumn budget. They were talking about the new PD, which is splitting the houses into 2.
Yeah.
But then they're also saying that one of them
flats.
has to be a social housing.
Is that what they're saying? Yeah, I haven't seen the detail. Devil is always in the detail with these things. I think they make things up on the hoof and think, well, what are we going to do? They've got no experience. And you know, I mean, I've been to meetings with housing ministers and other people. Modular was a great example. Modular's just... We're only building 3,000 modular homes a year in the UK. It's an absolute joke. And the government, this was 2 or 3 years ago, government are desperate to support modular homes because they can build them much quicker.
Yeah.
The problem is they're too expensive. They don't quite cotton onto that bit.
Well, there's also, like, so I think for me, what I've noticed, the structural problem of the affordable housing crisis in the UK is twofold. One's access to the capital, which has been largely solved. There's so many private funders, private equity,
Homes
private
England,
debt,
Bridging. Look at all the bridging companies. All the bridging companies.
So that's kind of been solved.
Yes,
since
I think it
Basel
has.
III.
Yeah.
But now it's really the planning system.
Yes.
And you've got people like Dominic Cummings, who's been pushing more PD onto us.
Yeah.
But maybe it's gone too far as well, because now we're actually building substandard. Even though they bring minimum space standards, they're trying to tweak here and there.
Yeah,
But
so I think
do we have to build on the
green?
Do we have to build on the green belt? Do we have to build on agricultural
Well,
land?
what do you got to remember about green belt? Green belt covers 12% of the UK.
12%.
12% of the UK land. A lot of green belt is rubbish. So when I was at Cambridge United, I ended up buying the football club, the football ground. And we wanted to relocate the club next door to a rubbish tip outside Cambridge. That rubbish tip and the land next door to it is in Greenbelt. The only thing you can build on Greenbelt is a park and ride. Council can cover it with tarmac, but no one else can do anything. Park and ride. So that's another story. But what I'm saying is a lot of the Greenbelt shouldn't be Greenbelt, and there's a lot of other areas that probably should be Greenbelt. So it needs to be looked at.
It needs to be reviewed.
The government, it's like the rate system in the UK, commercial rates in the UK. That should have been looked at ages ago. So should Greenbelt. There's so many things this government should have done. Partly, they haven't done it partly because of COVID and Brexit and all these other things they've had to do. But actually, there's a lot of things they should have done. And I think perhaps Labour will look at these things and probably, you know, when a new government hasn't been in power before for, 13 years, it has a it has a window of opportunity for 2 or 3 years not to be criticised too much for doing things, and they can afford to be radical, and I think they probably will be.
If you got offered the job as housing minister, would you take it?
Definitely. They'd have to make me Lord John Howard first because I'm not an MP. I'd have to do a David Cameron and become a Lord.
Fair play.
But that's all right. They can do that within 48 hours.
Yeah,
And then I
exactly.
could be housing minister. That'd be great, wouldn't it?
What I mean, like how, because they're giving it to all these people that don't, is it just career politicians that generally get the...
Totally.
You have no,
It's
do you have any
madness.
interest in doing something like that?
Love to do that. Love to do that.
Well, let's see if we can get you there.
Yeah, that'd be great, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Something to talk about off air.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay.